Mr. Farbenblum is here.
Present.
Ms. Kamen? Present. Dr. Caruso, are you on the line, Dr. Caruso? Okay. Dr. Caprioli? Dr. Colati?
Yes.
Ms. Figuera, Jan? Jan, are you online? Can you let everybody in? Okay. Ms. Campbell? Are you on the line? Mr. Abraham? I think I saw you zooming.
Yeah, he's there.
Yes. Okay. Ms. Daniels? Mr. Abelo?
Yes.
Mr. Saraceno?
He's
Here.
Okay, got you. Mr. Sardellis?
He's there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, Chairman, we have a quorum. We can proceed. Mr. Cohen, sorry. I saw you. I checked you up, Mr.
Now you know how it feel like, huh?
So, it's all yours.
Oh, yeah.
Your chairman remarks.
Chairman, before you start, may I have your permission to say a little something nice about our,
Sure, Bobby.
I just want to share with the board as well as the public, since we are a public. Last week,
Your microphones.
yes, I just see.
Not hearing anything.
Hello, can you hear me now? Yes. Chairman, thank you. Welcome to the board. We are happy to have you, and there will be a lot of fun. But to start with the good news, Chairman, I came in, as I do come very often, the community always receive the call from the communities. When they do call me, I come as a community leaders and to service to the people that we can provide. And it was a car accident, was very bad accident. We thought the person going to be dead, but survived. And thanks to our ER, even the accident happened in Long Beach, but they brought them to us. And to the good news, when you look at the car, we thought the person not going to survive when you look at the injuries. But next morning, thanks to all our ER staff, they did a fantastic job. Next day, the person was actually released to go home. And I like to applaud. But while I came to see that patient, to visit the patient, not another patient who brought in by the police hit one of our employees. The difference between two employees, I could say, our employee was just size of me. The other person was 10 times bigger and knock out our employee. But our security, who I witnessed, I'm going to make this one as a memo part of the things so we can honor them. And our staff sustained themselves. They did such a fantastic job, professional job, along with the police. This particular patient was a psych problem, other problems, and he spitted at the police, abused our security people, but they never stepped out of their professionalisms. They took the abuse, but they did a good job, which I witnessed myself. While this was happening, second incident happened same time. And again, I witnessed how professionalism our staff had shown, our security staff had shown, and the police had shown. And I took their names to make sure I can share that with our board and public, and how proud I was and I am from our staff and the law enforcement who handled our guests, I should say, very professionally. I think, and I request, we should honor all these individuals, though everyone deserve it, at least the one who was immediately worked on this situation, they should be recognized and honored, not only our staff as well as the police. As you and I had spoken to the police commissioner, he want to do it too. So I thank you. I want to make sure, Meg, you have this, and so we recognize them. Thank you, Chairman.
So first of all, I want to say that we've gotten off to an interesting start. I want to say that you'll see that I'm here for a reason. I don't harbor bad feelings. I understand people have different agendas and act for their own reasons. And I wanted everyone to know that I'm really looking forward to working with everyone here. I'd like to meet everyone on the board if I can personally. I'd like to have you understand who I am personally, why I'm here. Like to understand why you're all here. And, I just want to comment sort of on the past so that way we can begin the work of the future. And, this institution has had a bad reputation in the newspapers. I've heard from many people in law enforcement, ambulance, about people that don't want to come to NUMIC. And I know the truth of NUMIC and that it's a wonderful institution. It's really a huge asset for Nassau County.
Yeah.
The staff and the employees that I've met are phenomenal. This can and will be a world-class institution.
I am applauding to that.
And really, I want to work with everyone here. I genuinely don't have any bad feelings towards anyone in regard to sort of what's happened in the past. I want to challenge everyone. And if you find that I'm not acting the way I should be acting, if you question my intentions or, the direction of the hospital or how we're doing things, I welcome any input. I've not run a hospital before. I'm not running one. I want to work with a board to empower Dr. Booten, all the other great men and women here with the resources and with the people they need to be successful. Again, from my perspective, I'm here for a purpose. I'm not here for fights. I'm not here for political reasons. I'm not here for any other reason but to fix the hospital. And, there are people in this room and on this board that have a lot of institutional knowledge. Everyone here has unique experience. I really don't want any sense past today of any sense of us and them. I really want to bring us together as a board to do what no one's ever apparently been able to do before. So we as a group have the ability to do something very special, something that no one else has ever done. And the only way we're going to be successful is we work together to do that. So starting today, 100%, again, I want to get to know any of you. I'd love to hear all the different ideas. I think everything should be an open book and an open door. And I'm really looking forward to trying to do as a group what no one's been able to do before. And I really want to remind everybody that hopefully the reason we're all here is for this great institution, for this special community, both the patients, and the employees here that really need these jobs. So, you know, I just want to start off by, you know, addressing sort of the past and say, you know, I'm really excited to work with you all and try to make this work. So, with that said, we'll get into public comment.
Our first speaker tonight's Jerry Larshuda. I think he's,
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm in Albany. That's why I asked. I'm at a hotel in Albany, and I'm at our CSEA Board of Directors meeting. But I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome our new chairman, Mr. Bruderman. Welcome aboard. We're looking forward to good things going forward, and I believe you know, it's been a while since I've actually spoken here at the board, but there are so many things positive about that hospital and that corporation, including A. Holly Patterson together, that it's going to take somebody like you that thinks out of the box, that's forgetting about the past. Let's go forward. You got Dr. Booten over there and all the great doctors and nurses, some right there in the room. We got our union people, Nina and everybody, Nina, Shakira, Paul, Jerry, all there. And they want this to succeed more than anybody, as I do. And we can. And the one thing I would ask, Chairman, is we spent a lot of time and a lot of resources on trying to get certified for that cath lab that we have in the building. And it's despite all our work and effort, when it came down to decision-making about a year and a half ago, it was given to other hospitals, the certificate, but not to NUMC. And I believe from speaking to Dr. Gersey over at the Catholic hospitals, that that's a big mistake. That would be one of our main money makers, and actually something that you need. It's a public hospital. We have a huge public hospital that's centrally located in Nassau. And if one of our residents is in pretty bad shape with their heart, if they're having a heart attack, we need to have a cath lab on site in order to put stents. Well, Dr. Booten and the other doctors can tell you all about it. And if you don't know about it yet, we cannot perform those procedures in a cath lab right now, because the cath lab that we have for many years, about 7 years, that's collecting dust, cost us millions of dollars, is not certified and now needs to be updated in other ways. So I think that would be my number one question. If we just need to see some improvement going. And just to let you know, I'm up here with the political action, and the good news is CSEA has been working with the governor's office closely. I just spoke with them, and they were speaking with the governor's office, and there looks like there's going to be a good amount of money for public benefit corporation hospitals in this budget, a good healthy dose. And I'm hoping, and we're going to try and make sure that your hospital, our hospital, New Health, our corporation, gets a fair share and the biggest chunk of that money. And that can be a good seed to help you and Dr. Booten and the rest of the great staff move forward and get us to the next level above, like we should have been years ago, but we didn't have the leadership needed. And now we do. Thank you.
I guess just to comment on that, I'm very aware of it. I haven't been here for very long, but you'll see all my homework so far. The cath lab is in here. As much as I believe in very strongly fiscal responsibility, you know, they say you can't simply cut yourself into profitability. We have to drive revenue. We have an amazing plant here in the hospital. It needs to be utilized. And we also have to turn the tides of bringing business in, bringing people in. And there is capital to invest in these things. And by investing in them, they will drive revenue, which will drive profitability. So absolutely, I've heard about it a lot, and we are looking into it, and we're going to make, when we finish our work, we'll be proposing things to the board. And I'm well aware of it, though.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Chairman.
Paul, you're up next, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. All right, congratulations.
We're trying to get in on a meeting at the hospital, right? And I can't get the sound.
Oh, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I was waiting for the phone call to end. Now that I'm muted, I want to congratulate you on becoming chairman. My question for you is, we have a lot of stale board members. I'd like you to see what they bring to the table and maybe hold them accountable. Again, I've been here for a long time, watching these board meetings, and everyone sits back, argue a little bit, but wheels just spin. As chairman, I think you should meet these people and find out what they bring to the board. This hospital needs people that are going to work for it. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is, I know we hold a medical certificate for these clinics, and now the other day I noticed they have a bus, a mammogram bus, just like us. I'm just wondering, at what point are we going to realize them as competition to us and not an asset? We should pull our medical license from them.
Yeah, I mean, just to comment, I think that, I can't comment on board members. I've never worked with them. I don't believe in judging people through other people. I think that, the people that are here, at least from what I've seen, have great resumes. They're smart. I can't say how things were done in the past, but I think that as chairman and working with Dr. Booten and the rest of the management team, we're going to do a lot of work to find opportunity and present it to the board, and the board's going to vote on some good things. And again, I wouldn't comment on the current board. I think if we have good initiative and good things to vote on, and I think the board can function just fine. And I think there's a lot of work for people on the board and off the board to do prior to the board meetings. That's I think sometimes an issue with boards, is there's not enough homework done. So I think if myself and a lot of people work together, we'll be able to accomplish a lot with the board because of all the work that we did when we weren't sitting here now. And like I opened up and said, my plan is to really get to know people on the board on a personal level, let them know who I am, and hopefully, I think everyone is here for a reason, and sometimes people get caught up in other things. And I think one of my jobs here is to galvanize this team and help us be successful. So I think hopefully I can do that. And then as it relates to, different revenue streams, modalities, different things that the hospital can do, we've got a long list of different things that we're going to dig into. And, again, we're going to try to identify revenue opportunities and also try to reduce expenses and, really evaluate all these different situations. Again, not everything's cut and dry. Not everything is on a piece of paper. There's more there sometimes than what appears on the surface. So we will, when we're not sitting here as a board, we'll be doing a lot of work to evaluate, everything you're talking about and the many other things that we're looking at.
I appreciate that. And with all due respect, I mean, I'm just saying, you have a cath lab for 10 years sitting there collecting dust. each and every one of those board members are politically connected in some way, but yet that room sat closed for 10 years. So it seems to me, that's why I said they were stale. It seems to me that they haven't done anything. If you can get the wheels, rolling, I congratulate you. But I'm just saying, I think it's time that some of these board members step up and do their job. There's a whole community around here that would love to see this place thrive. There's workers in this building that want to see this place thrive. We come to work every day hearing the rumor that NUMC is shutting down, it's shutting down. The board members don't care. They do their own thing. They're either lawyers, attorneys, they sell real estate, they do something else somewhere else, and it doesn't affect them, but it affects the people in this building. So, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Chairman, may I answer him quickly on cath lab?
Very quickly, please.
Paul, as you know, I just want to compliment, I'm fighting for the same cath lab along with the union and all our employees. And I don't hesitate to say, not immediate past former chairman, but before that, not one, but two. I like to use a very negative word, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to hold back. They are the corrupt, disgusting chairmanship who stopped us to get the cath lab. And I know on the leadership, I know you started, Mr. Edwin Bloom. I want to give you that credit in the speed, but Bruderman definitely on his speed to make sure we get it. And we are not going to be held hostage by North Shore or any scumbag who are in this town. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Board of Directors, Chairman Bruderman, executive staff, fellow employees, union, and our staff. I see a bright future here at NUMEC for 2022 and beyond. We need our fair share and help from New York State, the federal government, and possibly even Nassau County. Our employees over the last 2 years have been working nonstop, 24/7, 365. We're tired, overworked, short-staffed, but we're dedicated, motivated, committed to the future of Nassau University Medical Center. I want to thank everybody publicly for their hard work. Our executive staff, along with the help with the union, are looking for ways to continue motivating our employees, recruiting them, retaining them, and having employee engagement. We're finding ways to keep that workforce here at the hospital. We are shifting dollars that we used to use for agencies, and we're giving it to our employees and trying to keep it budget neutral. Our new chair has been looking at our books, and he's finding ways to fix some of the issues. I welcome new board members. I want to make a plea that, or make an appointment with me to tour the facility, to meet our dedicated employees, witness what they do on a daily basis. We can visit the emergency department, the trauma unit, the primary care area, the cath lab. Yes, we do have a cath lab. The hyperbaric unit, which is a multi-chamber hyperbaric unit, the burn unit, A. Holly Patterson, multiple other things. We're updating our maternity unit and our neonatal ICU. There's a lot of things going on within the building. The MRI project is going on, and so on and so forth. We're planning tremendous things in the future. There's a tremendous amount of practices outside of NUMEC that want to join us. We're looking and we're thinking about a surgical center, multi-specialty office off campus, possibly updating our dialysis unit, relocating it here to NUMEC, veterans home, and updating the housing on campus. So there's a lot of things that we could be doing, and there's a lot of dollars out there that we actually should be looking forward to getting. In terms of regulatory, at some point in the next few board meetings, our quality team that's headed by Maureen Shannon will be presenting what's going on in terms of the quality measures to the board, whether it's at the full board meeting or at the MPAC. Just a quick overview. We've applied in terms of the Joint Commission primary care stroke certification. We've submitted our application. We submitted our application for Robotic Center of Excellence this month. In terms of Leapfrog, which is our 22 PI initiative, we started working on this multifaceted, looking for ways to get our scores to where it should be. It's not a switch. It's an ongoing process, and it's our project for 2022. We've started a new department, a Department of Population Health, again, which is going to be looking at ways of doing value-based purchasing, PCMH certification, implementation of chronic care management, coordinating with insurance companies to get quality initiatives, coordinating with our IPA that you guys are going to be voting on this afternoon, health equity program development. So there's a lot of things that are going on that all work hand in hand to increase our revenue moving forward. We started 2022 with a bang. Our COVID numbers in the early parts of 2022 skyrocketed. A third wave hit us. Secondary, it was the Omicron variant. Secondary to the exposure that we expose ourselves during Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Here at Nassau University Medical Center, we peaked at 178 COVID patients. Not the majority of the COVID patients were not primary COVID patients. They probably were 50-50, accidental COVID and primary COVID. Today in the building, we have 10 COVID patients. I think 7 of them are accidental and 3 of them are primary COVID. Up to date, we've somewhere in the vicinity of 2,800 admissions for COVID, and we've discharged somewhere in the vicinity of 2,300. In terms of our volume over the last 3 months, the OR, because of COVID, was not as busy in terms of budgeted in January, but we've picked up in February and March. The same with our clinics. In our emergency department, our volume is exactly where it should be, budgeted and above budget over the last 3 months. Our case mix index is also elevated over the last 3 months, and the nursing home is also booming as well. Why is our future bright for 2022 and beyond? Again, our executive staff and the leadership team have been finding ways of decreasing waste and increasing productivity. We've looked at every service line and we're looking for ways to improve. In 2021, our performance improvement was set at $51 million. We exceeded that. We need to improve our performance improvement by another $30 million for this year so that we can actually break even or surpass what we're doing. With that, we're also going to need help from New York State in order to meet our mark. Again, today you'll be voting on 2 initiatives, the 340B program with CVS and the IPA of New York. Both of these are revenue generating programs and it'll bring a tremendous amount of dollars to the institution. We have been approached by a tremendous amount of local groups to join us. And because of the IPA, it'll start the process. We're looking to increase the complexity of the cases in the operating room, with these groups joining us, and hopefully bring in the new technology. The New York State budget, which everyone has been talking about, is geared. There's a tremendous amount of revenue there for public safety net hospitals, public benefit corporations, and those two things. It's over a 2-year period, so that all those things will increase our bottom line. There's a tremendous amount of dollars in incentive for our employees, whether it's loan forgiveness, bonuses, grants, whether it's here at the hospital or at the nursing home. There's tremendous amount of dollars there also for infrastructure, which we need. All those things, it's there for us to take, for the taking, and hopefully we'll have a tremendous 2022 and beyond. That's my report.
I have a question for you, Mr. Booton, but want to make a clarification. Chairman, may I?
Sure, Bobby.
Thank you. When Paul brought the cath lab issue and you said we do, I want to make sure the board and the public have a real clear, if I don't understand it, I hope they understand it, but I want to make a clarification. So we, as I know, as I understand, we are not allowed to put in, we are not capable of put in stent. Number one, we do not have the facility to do angio. Am I right? Even though we have whatever you have, so we only do diagnostic and we ship our patient somewhere else. That's what Paul was talking about. That's what Chairman Gruden want to speed up to make sure we all have this. So we don't have that facilities. We only have just a very simple, can you please?
So let me clarify it.
Thank you.
So we do have a cath lab. We also have $4 million to upgrade the cath lab. So what I made my team do is, if we don't use the $4 million, we have to give it back. And we've been waiting for years for the state to give us the permission to start building the cath lab. We need them to give us the permission before we can start building it. On top of that, what I found out was, to build the cath lab, we have to have an infrastructure. So as opposed to giving the money back, I've directed my team to start working on the infrastructure for the cath lab. The infrastructure for the cath lab is the electrical piece. It will not only do the cath lab, it will do the operating room, the recovery area, and the ICUs. So when we're upgrading the operating room and the ICUs in the near future, the infrastructure will be there. So if I was going to do the cath lab, I would spend $4 million plus the cath lab. If I was going to do the ICU, I need to spend $4 million plus the cost for the ICU. So why give the money back to the state when I can use the money to do the infrastructure and work out the base for the electrical system? So that's where we're at.
I understand that. I just wanted to make sure we are working towards it, but we don't have it.
So we have the cath lab, but we need to build a recovery area. And the $4 million was there to do the recovery area. As doing the infrastructure piece, the cath lab is there, the equipment is there, we're using it for diagnostic. Once we get the approval, we're not going to be far behind.
No, I understand, Dr. Booton. I'm all with you. That's why I want to make a clarification. But the question was where we are. We don't have it, but we will have it. But as of right now, we only had diagnostic.
Correct.
That's why we ship the patient. That's all I want to make sure we have a clarification.
Well, some people have the approval for the cath lab, but it's not even built yet. Ours is already built.
I understand that, but that wasn't my question. I just want to make sure we had difference between having a diagnostic, doing it, and shipping the patient somewhere else. And with Bruderman's now pushing for it, this is money generating, where I'm fighting for last 5 years saying we can break even once we have that. So we don't have to ship our patient somewhere else instead of just doing a diagnostic. And I appreciate that you are ready to do it. You are much more further now than we was. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Chairman.
Good evening. I'm going to present my chief legal officer report I never had a chance to present the 2021 year-end report. And as a compliance officer, I don't want to not be in compliance. So I'm going to go very quickly through the 2021 report. In 2021, just for the new board members, everything goes through the legal department. We touch everything, and Dr. Boone can attest to that. So, and things that aren't even legal, we help out with. But so regarding physician issues, employee issues, power of attorney questions, end of life questions, next of kin issues, patient issues, we handle that. In 2021, we accepted and processed 804 subpoenas. We received 60 and processed 62 notices of claims and summonses and complaints. We executed 160 contracts and amendments. We attended our QPAC meetings. We reviewed with Dr. Boughton and our quality and our COO, John, over 1,700 QPAC policies in 2021. We processed 23 suits and damages here. We collected $260,000 in no fault claim money. And as the attorneys know, no fault doesn't cost the hospital anything. So that's pure profit. And we initiated that when I became the general counsel. So that was $260,000 of profit. We collected $153,000 in guardianship funds. We settled 8 medical malpractice claims. We issued and prepared and issued 11 RFPs. And we noticed all the board meetings. Of course, I'm not going to bore you with all those, and did all the minutes and posted everything for all the board meetings and the board committee meetings. We executed 27 resident housing leases, 19 mediations for labor issues, 36 step hearings for labor. We worked on 14 guardianships, handled 253 mental hygiene court matters, oversaw 14 arbitration hearings, 50 security investigations. We had 19 foils that we received, and we answered all of them. We received and handled 186 altogether claims because we brought the TPA into in-house. So legal's now handling, we are acting as a third-party administrator we saved $1 million a year on that, as Mr. Former Chairman Farnbloom was aware. We received, of course, our outside counsel requests. We handled and oversaw all the OPMC requests. We handled and set claims meetings. In 2021, legal became responsible for all of the patient grievances. I gave 2 live JCOPE ethics trainings. We already have some planned for this year. We served as the IRB counsel, the grant counsel. We prepared the sexual harassment trainings in conjunction with our director of HR. We renegotiated the Nassau Financial Credit Union lease for collection. We added a savings of $15,000. We handled and oversaw the jail claims, disposition of property, the general litigation, New York State Division of Human Rights and EEOC matters, the DOH investigations. We, of course, virtually attended the Nassau County meetings and our compliance meetings with Greater New York and Haney's. We're in the process of, we reviewed the IT software with our director of IT, Sassy, and we did the big Allscripts contract. We've been working with our director of procurement, Jonathan Goldstein, and legal since 2021 has been reviewing and approving all purchasing specs and procurement issues with Jonathan. We also handled all the printing for each department because we don't have a print department anymore. So legal's been doing the printing, physician depositions, arraignments that are held here. We worked with the Nassau County Police Department very closely and the district attorney on investigations, one that came to light in the papers a few weeks ago. That was a result of working with the finance department and legal, and we actually brought that to the Nassau County DA. So I'm proud of that. That's something that we are very proud of. Small claims cases, of course, we handle that. Medical staff hearings. And of course, we've been working, and I think I saw Mr. Denyon on, we've been working with NIFA with their guidelines and contracting packages. So thank you to NIFA for helping us approve our contracts. I think we have a few more tonight to give you. And our grant applications and helping all of our board members and employees that have to file our JCOPE filings, which the new board members, I'll reach out to you individually again, but we'll be doing that in May, your financial disclosures. And besides that, we also have been doing employee appreciation initiatives. I received JCOPE consent in March of 2020. It still has not expired, that we've been doing thank you events and different accepting donations. And just to bring us up to speed for 2022. And I'm very proud. We're a small but mighty staff, a very small staff. We do a lot with a little. And as you can see, I mean, we're bringing in some revenue. And for 2022, just a no fault money. So we're gonna blow past what we collected last year. And so far, just for January, February, March, we collected $177,102.31. Rich has that money. And on guardianships for January, February, and March for A. Holly, legal collected $575,000. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
I have a question for you. That incident was, Chairman, may I?
Okay, Bobby.
I do have usually a lot of questions because I do my homework. Thank you. That incident that was reported in the paper. I don't want more details. I'm just curious.
Yes.
Or I need to know who come to know in within what period, how many days that it took for us to go to the DA.
Okay, well, as soon as I was aware of it, I contacted the district attorney's office right away. I don't want to say anything else because there is,
Fair enough.
it's, you know,
That's
it's-
good
there's
enough.
no conviction right now, so I don't
That's
want to
good enough.
blow
That's good enough.
anyone's case, but
That's good enough for me. I just wanted to know.
Tonight, as Dr. Booten mentioned, there are there are 4 contracts that we need to get approved. We did not have legal and audit, so we didn't want to. Sure.
Yeah, so Bobby, I don't know if you remember, but about a year ago, you and Warren had requested that we do a review of financial controls. And we brought the outside group in and their name was, Rich, what was the other? Pro. And it all emanated from that request that came.
No, it didn't.
No, it
No, they're
didn't?
not.
Am I
They're not.
confusing 2 different
Yes.
things? Okay,
Sorry.
sorry.
Okay. And Rich Rank can agree with me that we don't want to mix anything up. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So,
Thank you.
thank you. We have just emergency contract approvals tonight. It's in the package. It was emailed to you and there's backup and there are notes. So the first contract is for our auditors. It's Grant Thornton for a term and we're just going to amend the contract. We're going to amend the resolution. So it's for a term of 1 year. With the anticipated effective date, February 1st, 2022. And the amount is not to exceed $230,000. And this is for our audit that we need to do for this year.
21 audit.
Rich, do you mind if I?
Yeah.
Just technically, we talked last year about RFPing this because there was concern that our auditor didn't have sufficient healthcare background, and we sent an RFP out.
This is a
over the
result of the
summer,
RFP.
right? That was
Grant
that
Thornton.
RFP that we
Yes.
approved over the summer as
Yes.
a board.
Right.
Can you speak to the process of choosing the auditor a bit?
Sure. Yeah, we issued an RFP. We had respondents, and Grant Thornton, who used to be our auditor 3 years ago, was the low bid. And just for the record, they're the ones that gave us the going concern opinion appropriately that 3 years ago. So just so everybody knows that we're not opinion shopping. We went from one auditor to Mitchell Titus last year and the year before, and now we're going back to Grant Thornton. They're a quality firm. They're right below the big 4, and they do a lot of healthcare. Most of the hospitals in New York, as a matter of fact.
And the
Go ahead. No, you go ahead first.
the 804, that's over 3 years. That's not 1 year.
Yes, yeah, but we're just doing the 1 year now because, yeah. But they
That's why it was the resolution was amended. It's for- Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. So
Chairman, I have a question for you, Mr. Rich. Now, you mentioned Mitchell Titus. Is this the company I wanted to be investigated and prosecuted?
That's the one that you mentioned that about last, yeah, they were our
3
auditor.
times in
No,
my
we were
3
our
board
auditor
meetings.
last year.
Okay, so is that company by doing the same audit that we are trying to award?
No, they did not bid on it, and they chose not to bid because they got
They got my message that I want them to be investigated and prosecuted. And I hope that report goes to all the board members as well as to the new members. I hope you share with the chairman about that because that's a very serious matter. And we should make sure the chairman is aware of that issues when they said on the record that they had this many employees, this many hours, and the fact is they never had, and they never, report never was completed. I want to make sure the chairman, new chairman is aware of it before we do this. So this is the similar audit. And now you saying to me, there was RFP issued and nobody else applied except this guy?
No, we had other respondents. They were the low bid, this Grant Thornton that we
How much
selected.
was the low bid? And what was there, last time we agreed, even if somebody is the low bidder, chairman, we requested, let's see what their performance was. Just because somebody is a low bidder and their performance was shitty and
No,
or
let me-
wasn't proper, then we should look for, not because somebody is cheap, but somebody who's giving us the proper record that we need.
Let me clarify, the people who are coming, who are going to do the audit for 2021 are the ones that did the audit in 2018.
And but that wasn't good. I had a lot of question in that one.
I don't believe, I think you're mixing up the firms. Because Mitchell Titus did it the last 2 years.
There
Those
is
are the-
no audit firm I ever let it go without question at least 20 different times. Listen, you approve it, you agree on it, then I have no problem. But I
I'm the
want to-
general counsel. don't
I
approve
want to make
contracts.
sure the
I draft the
chairman, I want to
contracts.
make sure chairman is aware of it. I have no problem to move on it. But I just, because he's new, a lot of board members is new. We have issues and especially when come to the audits. And there's a lot of auditors audit we brought in, we start with millions and then continue with millions and continue with millions. It's a public money. We cannot afford to do that. And I just want to make sure for the record, it is looked at.
Yeah, I think I can, since you mentioned Chairman, I'll chime in.
I have a question.
Sure.
When the RFP went out,
Mhm.
was it a 3.5 year RFP?
That's right.
Then why did we change it from 3.5?
I suggested changing it. The reason why is frankly, and that's why we're voting on it as a board. I was walking in the door new. I can at least say from my own personal experience, Grant Thornton is well-known. They are a major firm. They are not a fly-by-night organization or cheaters as far as I know. I was not here for the bidding process of the RFP. I wasn't involved in the negotiation of it. So for that reason, I felt like proposing this to the board tonight was appropriate because I am very familiar with who Grant Thornton is. Anyone on the board can certainly research who they are. And I suggested that we do 1 year because I don't know exactly what the process was, to Bobby's point, in negotiating it. And I suggested rather than a 3.5 year commitment, I suggested, why don't we suggest the same terms that they're suggesting? If you'll notice in the language, which I left in the amended minutes, I suggested that we ask for no more than the equivalent of 1 year of the 800,000. So it's not to exceed, not that it would be. So basically that affords myself to work with Dr. Booton, the finance department and the management team as the incoming chairman. So that way on behalf of the board, I can evaluate how they arose at that price. And because I think it is very important for the hospital and for the county to get an audit done for 2021, based on the relative numbers versus the size of the organization, I felt that it was in our best interest to get the audit done. I am very familiar with how audits work. They probably have a lot of the backup from a couple years ago, and it would be efficient for them to plug in. We might be able to argue about, are we paying exactly the right price? But the institution, I think, is very well regarded. So that's why I suggested that we, do a 1 year engagement. Let's get 2021 done so we can get our numbers in, the county can get their numbers in. I'm sure we're going to need that to go fight for some money for the institution. So that's why I suggested
Chairman,
that we include it.
Chairman, as long as you have on the board with that, If somebody, another board member, distinguished member have no question, then I make a motion to pass.
Well, I'd like to make a comment. So I agree with what you say about Grant Thornton. They're an A+ shop. You know, one of our frustrations with Mitchell Titus, and Rich and I spoke about this a lot, is they didn't have a lot of data to benchmark our performance, and Grant Thornton certainly would. And Steve, I think it's entirely appropriate to do a 1-year contract. Let them always be nervous about winning the business again.
My question was.
Let them be nervous to win the business again.
I already made the motion. If nobody had a question, it should be passed.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
you need it on the.
Just on the Zoom, are there any, if we could just go through the, Dr. Caruso, if you're in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor.
Okay, Jan Figuera?
I'm in favor.
Thank you, Jan. Ms. Campbell? If you're in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor. Sorry, I was unable to unmute myself.
Thank you. Mr. Abraham?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Great. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Yes.
And look how well we work together. There's one.
I get 3 more.
Okay, let's see the next
Okay,
one.
the next contract, next 2 contracts are revenue generating contracts. Well,
What is the number?
it's 2-2022. It's a Well Partner LLC 340B program, a drug price control program that allows qualifying providers to purchase outpatient drugs from manufacturers at discounted prices. The anticipated effective date shall be April 1st, 2022, with a term of 2 years and estimated revenue of $4.6 million. And this was done as a result of the work of Dr. Booten, John, Karen Blunt. They are looking to partner with
Me.
CVS.
Michael Nee.
Michael Nee, I'm sorry. Yes, Michael Nee, sorry. Michael Nee, and Meg Ryan for 340B program with CVS. So Well Partner is the only TPA that CVS will engage with. So we have no choice. If we want to work with 340B with CVS, we need to do a contract with Well Partner tonight because we have to, the deadline is, we have to do it by April 16th to get into the quarter.
If no other board member have any question, I make a motion to pass.
Second by Mr. Cohen. All in
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I'm gonna just to resume, Jan, I see you. Ms. Dr. Crusoe and Ms. Campbell.
Yes,
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Yes, okay, and Mr. Abraham.
I'm in favor.
Great, unanimously passes. Thank you.
See, there you go.
All right. 3-2022, IPAN's a contract with IPA to negotiate quality incentives, assist with population health programs, and provide data to drive improvement in cost and quality, refer patients to NUMIC as referred provider for 3 years. The anticipated effective date shall be May 1st, 2020, with a total estimated revenue of $600,000. And this is what Dr. Booten was discussing in his CEO report.
This is the one we're talking about, sole source? We already
Sole source
passed.
for CVS.
Are you trying to trick me here? No, I know we need this one. I actually read through and I really gone through this one and you need it. You don't have much choice. A hospital need it. So if another board member have no question, I like to make a motion that should be passed. I read it. I really went through it.
One question.
Meg, this is Dr. Caprioli. Can you please put me in as a pass? I've been
Yes.
listening. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Muted. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
The $600,000 revenue estimate. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. It's low, right?
By the way, to be clear, that's per 200,000 for over 3 years, 600,000 total. So it is low.
Meaning we were modeling this as possibly much, much higher, right? I remember, yeah.
Motion is already made. You need a
Need a
second.
second by Mr. Farbenblum.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just saying, any opposition on Zoom? Does that have any opposition? No. Okay.
No.
No.
Great. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thanks. Last motion of the night is for purchasing 4-2022 First Financial. It's an agreement to purchase the Da Vinci surgical robot that we've all heard a lot about over the past few months. Dr. Riggs is smiling. NUMIC previously was leasing the robot and we decided to purchase the robot in an amount not to exceed $2.3 million over 5 years. It's $452,000 a year with an annual savings of $136,633. And all the credit goes to Director of Purchasing, Jonathan Goldstein, for
No,
doing this one. Yes, he
I
did
have-
this one.
I have a
He
question.
did this, he worked that.
Shut
no.
off his mic.
Need a motion to
Trust
approve.
me, I do my homework. I hope, I really hope, and I'm going to be very serious with you. I hope you really try very hard to do your job, because I have questions. So if this is a sole source,
So,
I'm asking the first question, is this a sole source?
yes,
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted, Chairman, I just want to put him on the record. I wanted to make sure I put him on the record. I don't, when come to Dr. Riggs is a different story. I wanted to ask you on the record. So
Sure.
is it sole source?
yes.
And if it is sole source, I want to share with my board member, I try to look around since I got the notice to find out. I did, and it is. And I want, if the other board member have no question, I want to make a motion to pass because it's needed.
So we're purchasing the machine now and we're projecting savings of 136,000. Are we going to have to pick up a maintenance contract now?
Yeah, so I want to talk about the savings for a second. So the savings for the first year, we rented it. If we would have continued on renting it, we would have, after 5 years, we wouldn't have owned the machine, and we would have been paying that high rate of $49,000 per month. So since we entered into a 60-month buyout agreement for it, now we're paying less money every month, and we're gonna we'll own it at the end of 5 years. And to your question about the service agreement, yes, the answer is yes. We will need a service agreement on an annual basis for the machine. It's about $130,000. Yes, that would, but we would, so either way, it's not gonna wipe out the savings because either way, we would need to pay for the service contract in addition to the rental. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, we're definitely saving. Yeah.
I know technology changes practice. This machine is now a year old, right?
Yeah.
In 5 years, this machine is going to become up to 10 years.
It's a great question, and I can. Yeah, I can. Yeah, no, I know exactly where you're. Yeah, it's yes. So let me answer your question because the answer is not perfectly straightforward. So what I did here is Intuitive, which is the company, want us to enter into an agreement where basically they would charge us a higher rate. And then in 3 years, they would put in their newest machine as long as we kind of guarantee them that we're gonna have a spot for them for their new machine. Now, Intuitive is coming off of Trademark pretty soon. So basically, they're not gonna have such a monopoly. Intuitive is one of the highest performing companies, particularly because they have such a monopoly on this robotic surgery business. So in 3 years, it's projected that once they come off of Trademark on this, once they don't have the copyright and other companies can make these surgical robots, patent. Once it comes off patent, there's going to be much more competition in the field of robotic surgery. So I set us up so that we own this machine, and in a few years, we'll have the best opportunity we can to not be locked into Intuitive. Intuitive is going around to other hospitals and trying to place as many machines as they can there so that those hospitals are locked into Intuitive when they come off of patent. So I want to get us into a position here where we're not locked into Intuitive. In 3-5 years, we can go somewhere else.
Why don't we can lease it 3 years? That price of the machine will go down. New machine, this machine is going to be basically antiquated. It's not in 3 years, in 5 years, you're stuck with a machine
machine that has little if any value. So can't we structure it so that we have a 3 or 4 year deal where we can trade in for a new machine at a much lower price?
You know what? I know where you're going with that. They would hit us with such a high sticker price on the new machine. So
You assume that, but you're not sure. Did you verify it?
Well, we don't know. It's 3
Then
years from
you
now.
assuming it then.
That's based on my experience. Yeah. There would be, but yeah.
What's the current agreement? How much time is left on the rental or lease right now?
About only 4 years and 7 months on the, and we're paying a fixed amount and we're going to own the machine. So we can trade that machine in, or we could sell it if we want to in a few years. And
Yeah,
then go back.
what's the current, that's what they're proposing, like $1 buyout on a lease? But where is it now? Is the current lease up? In other words, if we were to, do we have the option to rent or lease the machine for 3 years? Or is this, are we tied into a lease currently that's X amount of years left on it? Or
No,
why
so-
is the decision coming up now that we could potentially buy it versus rent it?
So our choices were either we continue to rent it for however long, or we keep the one that we have. Decision was made that we would keep the one that we have based on it's already here at the hospital. We save on costs. They're already trained on it. It would be the same model. We could just go on. We would have been able to just go on paying $49,000 a month. Instead, we're paying $37,000 a month, and we'll own it. Yeah.
Just go in and see what a deal is for a 3-year rental. It comes off patent. There'll be competition out immediately, or negotiate a deal to say in 3 years, 4 years, we can trade in for an upgraded machine. The machine that you're saying you're going to sell, nobody's going to want. 5 years from now, technology will have vastly
Agreed.
advanced it. So why get stuck with a hump of metal that's going to have little value? Can't we negotiate something where we'll pay a little bit more, but we're going to get a lot more by having it updated, getting the latest technology, which will attract better quality surgeons to the hospital because we'll have the best equipment.
Right.
And maybe it may cost us a few bucks more, but in 3 years it'll save us a ton of money.
Yeah, I get it. Intuitive.
Doctor, could you tell us a little bit? And by the way, is
Yeah.
this machine like
Yeah.
built in? Is this thing rolling around on wheels, or can you
Well, no,
you
no.
educate us a little bit?
Yeah, basically, we only have one machine, and we got this machine a little over a year ago. It was October a year ago. We made remarkable strides in 1 year. The company Intuitive, which is really the only game in town, almost every hospital has the Intuitive. There really is no competition right now that's of any significance. Our biggest problem is going to be when we're going to get our second machine. And I'll tell you why, because in 1 year, we have 4 surgeons that are credentialed, 2 in surgery, 2 in GYN. And we got a 5th one now getting credentials, because I chair the credentials part of it. I'm not involved in negotiations, lease versus buy, but however, this is the state of the art. This is what put us on the map for hospitals recruiting physicians. And now with this IPA, and we're able to now, have negotiate better pay for physicians that come in. They want to do robotics. I want the urologist to come now, and I want more, general surgeons to come and do more robotics and GYN. But the biggest problem is going to be the deal we're going to be able to do with the second machine. Not right now, but down the road. And your answer, when I had asked this originally, they have so much equipment, new equipment to apply to this machine, that right now it's not even an issue over the next couple of years, they said. And from a cost point of view, whether you're going to be able to negotiate a second machine, I know what you're saying, whether it be complete, they don't seem to see it's going to be obsolete in the next couple of years.
Well, I'm looking at 3 years from now in technology. We're going to have a machine that's 4 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, 4-year-old machine, we both know is not going to be cutting edge.
Mhm.
Plus, you're going to have a vast amount of competition coming in, and who will probably improve on and lower the price of. And it doesn't affect what your model is.
Yeah.
You can still get a second machine. Nobody's saying, well, let's not get a second machine. What I'm saying is, let's get 2 state-of-the-art machines. If it costs us $100,000 and in 3-4 years,
you go out and say, we got two of the most up-to-date machines and we're paying less because there's competition, wouldn't it make your job easier to sell it?
Well, when you say machine, it's more the instrumentation that goes to the machine. The machine is not necessarily, it's the new parts that go to the machine, which can apply to this. That's the way they're talking. The machine's not necessarily going to be obsolete itself because the technique's the same. It's the instruments you apply to it over time and the costs involved in that.
Okay.
So as far as the machine itself,
Mr. Cohen, may I?
Sure, Mr. Kumar.
Okay, there is a motion, number one. Number two, you need to make a better deal with them. That's what they're saying. But you need this. We know why Mount Sinai is successful because of robotic surgeries. Robotic surgery is very popular. There's many surgeons do not want to come to your facilities. They don't want to bring the patients where is no robotic surgeries. I understand it's important. You are a doctor. You are not a salesman. We understand that you are. So I just want you to know, make your best negotiation. Don't try to be penny buys dollar stupid. It's not how much money we're going to save. It is how much money we're going to lose is equally in same time is important. So since I made the motion, I really humbly request, it is a necessity for our hospital. There's nobody is more critical to you or purchasing orders than me. Former Chairman Ed Von Brom can tell you. But this is really, if something I will personally push for it, is because of robotic surgery. There's so many surgeons out there had spoken. I personally, when I said I did my homework before I came here for this particular contract, I had called. I wanted you to know, there's nobody's more critics of you than me, Dr. Tate. But this is a necessity for our hospital going forward. It is important. I don't want to be penny buys dollar stupid. So I stay on my motion, Chairman. The motion is to pass unless another distinguished board member have a question.
I haven't finished mine.
You taking for a dinner and you're taking too much time, and don't try to think that you're going to escape the dinner.
My point is, I think that we have to look at it, not just from the dollar point of view, immediate dollar point of view. I think we have to look into technology, we have to look at the opportunity, and we have to look at, maybe it may pay for us to spend $50,000 more a year. You're talking right now, 49,000, that's a little less than 600,000 a year. You're talking here, 452,000. If we look at it and we can strike a deal that frees us to truly negotiate in 3 years when the patent comes off, or 4 years when the patent comes off, and we spend another couple $100,000 a year, but at that point, we get a machine for $1 million less, $500,000 less, that's state of the art because of the competition. I think it behooves us to look into that, not to sacrifice the machine that we need. We all acknowledge that, but to look ahead and see whether or not there are better opportunities to retain a machine and have an opportunity further on.
By the way, I have a couple of questions. First of all, and maybe finance knows, but would it be a capitalized lease? Will it become an asset on our balance sheet?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a finance purchase.
So we'll be able to put it on the balance sheet. What, for people that aren't that familiar with finance accounting, one benefit, and I actually feel like maybe we should vote on this next month. Frankly, I know you want a perfect batting average and we want to get all these yeses.
There's a problem with this. We have cases.
Yeah.
They may take this machine away if you don't move forward.
All right. I mean, again, like I said, not everything's black and white, but look, here's the benefits depending on the situation of what our options really are. The one benefit is, and I'm with you. First of all, I would look at the agreements, see are they, what are the out terms or not. Generally, if you own it and we have it on our balance sheet, then we can, in theory, sell it, trade it in, right? So
yeah.
worst case our out is we take the machine and we sell it and get the new machine. And if we're buying one or two, possibly, we're going to have negotiating leverage, not only with this manufacturer, but potential new manufacturers that are coming. The other thing that I would point out, which is a big job for us as a board to have financial success, is we have access to capital. What we're doing is we've been burning money for a bunch of different reasons. But we have a negative cash flow and we need to correct that. So if we actually take some of our capital, and I'll look into, I know there's some good people on the board actually that know more about grants and things like that than I do. But if we could capitalize it, actually purchase it, it goes on our balance sheet. We no longer will be paying that. How much per month is it? It's about 600 grand a year, maybe.
Sorry, it's the 49,000 per month, which actually Intuitive isn't offering us. They're taking it back if we don't.
Okay, and so, but even still, it costs us $600,000 a year in a basically a rental cost. So if we buy the machine and we put it on our balance sheet, our numbers go up by $600,000, and we swap cash temporarily for a piece of equipment. And if we have the wherewithal to potentially sell it down the road, again, this is one of these things. I'm walking in. This is our first meeting. It sounds like kind of time is of the essence. If the dollar amount is equal to or less than what we're going to pay anyway, and now we have the benefit of owning the machine, and we have the benefit of reducing our actual expenses by getting rid of the rental expense, of over $500,000 a year. Financially, I mean, from an accounting position, I think it makes sense. But
Yeah, we'll own the machine in 4.5 years.
Right, but we're gonna finance the machine.
Absolutely.
We're gonna make payments.
So it's a $2 million purchase
Right.
spread out over 5 years.
Right.
but the interest expense is probably relatively nominal. What do you know what the I mean, off the top of your
We got
head?
a good grade. We got a good rate from First Financial. It was in the 4% something.
Can I ask one question? Dr. Booten, so you're the both man of business and man of medicine in the room. So, right, the issue is, right, obsolescence that everybody's asking about. So in your intuition, what do we do here?
We follow Jonathan's advice.
Since Chairman, the motion is on, so you had to take the votes. You had to take the second.
Your first?
I already made the motion.
I have a question. What is the urgency here?
It's Dr. Caruso. I second the motion.
Thank you. No, you still can discuss.
Right into the wire.
No, you still can.
No,
discuss.
but that's the question,
Thank
sir.
you, sorry. Oh, brilliant, thank you. Ooh, that's lovely. My question is simply, what is the urgency? You indicated something to the effect that they're gonna like come in and rip out the machine and we're like tomorrow? Or what's to prevent us from having, from buying, say, another 30 days or something?
So we're already going to be under contract with First Financial. So we've already signed something with First Financial. It's really who's going to take the machine at this point. If we don't want to move forward with First Financial, then we're going to have to give the machine back, and it's going to go back to Intuitive.
Why did we wait until to come here?
We haven't had a meeting in
months.
6 months.
Mea culpa,
That's a
right?
good reason.
No, Steve, mea culpa, right? We didn't have a board meeting in a while because of
I said it's a good reason.
some amount of issues. So point that in my direction.
No, I don't have to point in any direction. I just want you to know, and now I understand.
I think for patient care, I think we have to get back to this and say, sounds like the doctors in their room are saying we need this machine. We'll cross our fingers that software and technology can be enhanced this machine, or we can sell it or whatever. But again, for various reasons, it sounds like economically it's a push or better. And we'll just be a little, we'll get ahead of it next time.
I just want to leave you with one little confidence here that Intuitive was hoping that we weren't going to choose the route that we did. They wanted us to choose the route that we were talking about, which was potentially setting them up for a future purchase very easily. So they were trying to push us in another direction, and we went in this direction. That's all.
It's already second, so Chairman, you taking the votes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm just gonna ask if there are any opposition. motion on Zoom?
No
Motion. Thank you.
No, no.
Motion- Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Hi.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Cohen bringing up the smart question. It was important. But I just want you to know on the record, you're still going to buy the dinner tonight, no matter how much you delay it. It's me and it's going to go. And, Chairman, if I have your permission, I just like to also, since I'm being the oldest and the longest serving member, even though Mr. Cohen tried to take credit, like to welcome our newly appointed board members and first time attending the meetings along with you. Thank you. It is interesting. It is noble. I just want to share. I came here almost 27 years ago when it came to inception. And thanks to one of the brightest and kindest sweetheart employee nurse who saved a person's life. That was the reason I became a board member, along with a wonderful distinguished board member and a Chairman Dr. Paul Papia. And that's why we continue serving. That was Nina, who was the nurse that time. And I hope you all know this institution really serve your soul when you want to serve the people. And there's a twist of the story, Chairman. Last week, we delivered a trailer load of stuff, no cost to the hospital, which I continue to do. And the driver who was driving the trucks, it was the patient who they saved 22 years ago or 24 years ago, and they choose to donate they didn't want to charge any fee for the trucking, which was $7,000. It was that patient's two sons, who drove the trucks to bring the whole 18-wheeler trailer and delivered, and end up donating also their services, even though the patient eventually 10 years later died when he went back. But it's so interesting. They were the children of that patient who was saved by Nina and our staff, and they was delivered. So I just want to make a compliment again to Nina and to our staff, how good deed comes around, what goes around. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman, allowing me to speak.
Mr. Chairman, over here,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
if I may.
Jason.
Yeah, at this point in time, I would like to make a motion to move into executive session to discuss a matter that I believe is confidential and shouldn't be at an open board meeting.
Can we finish the fine, just so that way we can
I
let
have
the
no-
staff go
I
home? Is
no, I
that
have
all-
I have no
oh,
problem with that.
Is that all right? Just
Yeah.
because we have one more thing, public, and then we can let the staff.
That's fine.
Okay,
No,
so this-
Since the motion was
we
made
can
and
remove, I'm
seconded,
gonna,
you have to take the motion back.
no, we could just table the mo.
I'll
we could
table the motion until after the finance
you.
report, if that's
Okay.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, so it's the report by the finance director, Mr. Rank.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief so that it sounds like everybody's a little anxious to get to that and get done with the meeting.
No, don't be brief because they have several questions for you.
Okay. Everybody received the December financial statements as part of distribution. In general, we had budgeted for $116 million loss for 2021. We ended the year at $110 million loss, more favorable about $6 million. The two components that don't jump out off the pages on this is we had the upper payment limit, which is for lack of a better term, a charity care payment for the nursing home, and what's called ICA, or the indigent care adjustment for the hospital. Both of those collectively, one went down by 4 million and the other one went down by 7 million. If the state would have left those at the level that we had budgeted on them, and that's what we budgeted on a historic basis, what we received the prior year, we would have been at $11 million more favorable. The bottom line would have been about $100 million, 99 million as a loss compared to the budget of 116.
What page you talking about?
Page 6 the consolidated financial statements. Just for the benefit of the new board members, what I'd like to say is, what I'm talking about is the bottom line is operating results. What you'll see on the paper is before OPEB and GASB 68. GASB 68 is a non-cash actuarial adjustment that we receive from the Controller's Office for the New York State Pension. The OPEB, or other than post-retirement benefits, it's really the health benefits that we pay to our employees in retirement. That is also a non-cash item, and that's why we always talk about the bottom line above those, because those are two non-cash items for future expenditures that we have to lay out.
Okay, Chairman, may I?
Go ahead.
Okay, as you always presented the report differently than this time, can you go to page number 3 of 16?
Okay.
Can you please, at least to explain to me, unless the board already understood it, I don't. Can you please explain why discharge are down by 1,236 when ER visits are up 4,092? And
Yes.
then I also have a second question on the same page. Should I give both of you in the same time or should I wait?
Well, I'll answer that one first.
Okay.
When we budgeted 2021, if you recall, the emergency room volume had remained down because of COVID. We budgeted our discharges at the historical level of 20,000 discharges a year. Through COVID, it had dropped down, but by the end of the year, when we were doing the budget for 21 in October of 20, the volumes had picked back up. And for the inpatient, they were running at the historic level that we normally saw of 20,000. The emergency room had not bounced back at that point. We historically saw like 5,600 visits a month. And when we were doing the budget, that was down to 4,600, 4,700. So we budgeted the emergency room lower because it had not come back from the pre-COVID levels, but the discharges had.
Because it's a big difference. Anyway, I will accept that. I hope if other board member have no question, I want to follow up with the second question.
Sure.
In the CMI, the case mix index.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I also had a question. What is IPA, by the way, Dr. Bhutan? You made in your statement, IPA. I just want to make sure what that stands for.
Independent Physician Association.
Okay, I forgot the question now. Thank God. Okay, the CMI case mix index. No, it's higher than the historical by 0.13 and budgeted by 0.04. How much is that worth in dollars? Can you please tell the board members in money wise? We are still on page 3 of 16. Thank you.
Let me first explain the concept of case mix so that the new board members at least get it. Hospitals get paid a rate based upon a DRG or a diagnostic related group. For instance, a neurosurgery might be a weight of 3.0, where a new mom and a baby combined is less than 1. It's an index that talks about the intensity of care that we provide to that patient. The case mix for a hospital is, the hospital gets a case mix neutral rate. Ours is about 11,800. And depending on each case, like for instance, that neuro case, it would be that 11,800 times 3, our reimbursement would be about $35,000. For a new mom and a baby combined, it would only be 11,000. The mom is about, I think, a 0.6 and the baby's a 0.3. So we only get 11,000 for a mom and a baby for a normal delivery. But a neuro case would be about 35,000. So this DRG, or the diagnostic related group, determines the resources we provided to those patients while they were here. The case mix that we normally see is 0.92 throughout history. That was always our case mix, or a little below 1. We budgeted, because of COVID, at 1.01, or about a 10% uptick in that. And that's because the intensity of cases that we saw coming in 2020, and what we saw also now in 21, even higher. What we're seeing is more intensely ill patients, because patients used to come here and use the emergency room like a doctor's office, and we got less intense patients. Right now, we're seeing more, and we had budgeted 10% higher in 21. We achieved it, and then we actually had higher intensity patients of 1.05. So for a case like that, to the point you were making, Dr. Cloudy, is, each one is an individual case, but the intensity overall is based upon our 19 or 8, in this year, about 18.8 in discharges. That averages up by 0.3, or that's about.
By the way, that's confusing me more than I started with. All I want to know is how much is the amount?
I'd have to calculate it, but it's probably about $400 more per case for all of the 18,000. I can do the
How
math
many
there.
millions we talking about?
I don't know. I
400
can,
times 18,000.
Excuse me?
400 times 18,800.
Yeah.
I think next time I'm going to humbly request from you, please give us any details. We are not as smart maybe as you are. We don't understand OR 00 so and so. I think it will be more appreciative if, for the board convenience, you be kind enough to give us in a dollar amount.
sure.
Rich, just a follow-up question to Dr. Claudi's. The discharge numbers here, these are not inclusive of the op stays, right?
We didn't really have that many op stays in 21, because
Why-
we had closed it down because of COVID.
Do you think that might have made a difference? Things that previously were admissions as far as the either total discharge numbers or the case mix weighting?
It's hard to say, because half of our discharges are 0, 1, and 2 day stays. And as a result, we get denials almost immediately on
Yeah.
all of those because of the
the
insurance companies.
The reason I'm asking is because one of the things that Dr. Ting and Dr. Booten were working on was having those more appropriately coded and not necessarily becoming admissions. So perhaps that's accounting for our decrease, the better process of the ER to not admitting. How would we know that? Meaning Dr. Ting and Dr. Booten put in a bunch of new machinery in the ER about deciding who was going to be an admission. And I'm wondering if that's what accounts for our uptick in CMI. How would we validate that?
So for 2021, I just looked at the observation numbers. The observation units, so I think that's expected to affect the CMI.
Okay. Okay.
You ready? If somebody have no question, we're going to go to page 4.
Well, let me just continue just what I was saying with the other point I was going to make, point out is NUMIC was just about at budget at the end of the year, operationally based upon what we budgeted. A Holly is favorable to budget by almost $8 million because we put in 2 new programs, the Chinese program and the Indian program. And in that facility, we started the year with 407 residents every day, or average daily census. We ended the year at 464. Not only did those 2 programs, we started them a little earlier, so we got it more favorable than what we budgeted, because we budgeted a phase in. But the other piece that happened is the Korean program, if you recall, in 2020, we lost overall for the hospital, for the nursing home, we lost about 100 people, residents there to COVID. 70 of those were in the Korean program. That Korean program is, and we started the year with about 100 residents in the Korean program. So in the beginning of 21, that was down to only 30. It's now bounced back up to 93. So the real favorable results that we saw was a result of some of the effort we made at A Holly.
Listen, I will have a question on Holly also, but I do want to bring the attention to the new board member and to the chairman. It is really a great program, not just because of Indians program we only started recently. It's thanks to Art Gianelli, who originally started along with Dr. Bhutan, and Dr. Bhutan really pushed for Korean and Indian and to bringing that program to a class A service to our community, the patient we serve, and the community appreciate it because I'm involved pretty much, and I want to applaud our staff in Holy Patterson, as well as Robert, you listening? I want you to know that. Stand up, please, for a second. I want to applaud what you guys do there. Okay, thank you. Keep the good work. You are not a stepchild. You are part of the family, and we are siblings. And I want to applaud Dr. Bhutan to continue that program. It's really a good program. So can we go to page 4 of 16? I see this unbudgeted COVID-related expenses offset by the CARE Act.
Yes.
My question to you is, CARE Act money. Why we are not using CARE Act money?
We did. What we did, we budgeted, CARES Act had to be
Can you,
used.
I'm sorry, I see the one of the board member looking at me. Can you please tell them so they understand what my question is and why?
Sure. We received in 2020, $122 million in CARES Act money, and it's money, it's for COVID relief. Throughout 2020, we attributed that to all of the expenses related to the COVID crisis when it first came out. Everything from ventilators, renting beds, renting freezer trucks when we ran out of space for the morgue. And that program, we had to spend money by June 30th. That's when that program sunsetted, at least initially until phase 4 came out. When we budgeted for 21, we budgeted about $6.8 million in the use of CARES Act money because we identified that we would only be using it for additional lab personnel and security. That's what we saw going into 21. You have to recall that when we do the budget in October of 20, there were no vaccines. So we didn't even budget for vaccines because they only came out in December of 2020. We saw a little over 52,000 administrations of vaccines, and we used the CARES money to fund that. We funded the overtime that people did to do that, to open up that clinic just for the vaccines. Obviously couldn't attribute it to the vaccines because we didn't pay for them. That came from the federal government. But the CARES Act money, we only could use that through June 30th. And when we budgeted, we only budgeted lab costs being covered by that and security. It continues today that we still have the screening of patients when they come in and visitors. We continue to have a high level in the lab, and as well, we have security measures now that we have to maintain to have the employees come through one entrance and control of the flow of people through the hospital. So right now we're incurring expenses that are not covered by the CARES Act.
I have a follow-up question and to relate to the same situation. The original money we received, I remember specifically asking question before even the former chairman joined the board. The money we supposed to, if we don't spend it, we supposed to return it. I want to make sure if that money, is there any part of that money was returned or we was able to use it, all the money? Or we are still using that money?
It's in the cash that we have in our balance sheet, but we report under the CARES Act and we had to report how we spent that. And we reported that we spent it all expense-wise.
So we did spend it. So because that time, I'm sorry to cut you off. I apologize, Mr. Frank. Because that time specifically you stated, if we don't spend in within certain time, we must return the money, otherwise we will be penalized. So my question is, it is not part of that money we're talking about. It is the separate amount we're talking about.
Some of the expenditures that we incurred, and I'll give you one big example that you could see. We talked about that GASB 68.
Yeah.
Because of the meltdown of the market in March of 2020, If you recall, the Dow index went from, or Dow or one of the index went from 27,000 down to 22,000 in a matter of a week when COVID first came out. That was the week, that was March 21st or 22nd. The Office of the State Controller values the pension plan for the whole state on March 31st. And they look at what, at the time, the assumed rate of return on pension assets was 6.5% that the actuaries determined that they would get in every year. It turned out that that was it was a negative return on those assets. As a result, if you look at the prior year amount on the consolidated financial statements, that GASB 68 loss for the pension plan was $33 million, 33.3. We attributed that to COVID because it was as a result of the meltdown in the market, even though that's not a cash call for us. So we still have that cash. But when I report on the CARES Act expenditures, that's a valid expenditure for CARES Act money because it related to COVID.
So we did not have to return that money. It's something we did not spend because it was specific. I was told by you and the former chairman that time, if we don't, we must return, otherwise we are under violation. So since it's more than a year pass, I want to make sure it is spent properly. So we are not under any violations. You don't have to speak about it. I'm just want to make sure I put it on the record that you're doing it correctly.
Yeah, no, and what we do is we attribute expenditures to it and report that those expenditures
all the
were
money was
applied to
spent.
it. All of the expenditures covered what we got. So
Properly.
we have the cash, some of that cash still, but we've accounted for it to the government that everything that we received, we had expenditures related to COVID for.
Under what rules you was able to keep the money? I thought you told us that money means must. You guys repeated that time, must be sent back if we don't spend it.
If we didn't have expenditures that we could retain it.
I just want to make sure we're not under any violation. Can we go to the page 5 of 16?
Sure.
It's again, COVID-related expenses should be covered by CARE Act money. Again, my repeating question to that is, why we are not using CARES Act money? Are we using it?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the next page. Unless somebody else have a question. Page 8 of 16. In the past, I requested, and I'm going to request again today, can you please explain? I'm not accountant, and I don't have your mind. And I hope these board members may be much more smarter than I am when it comes to the math. And can you please explain the cash flow? It is off by $198 million. Please explain what that this means to top to bottom on page 8 to 16. Keep it as short you want. It's up to you. I just want to know $198 million.
Where is the 198 that you're talking about?
If you look at it total together, 150 plus 48, page 8 of 16 in the bottom when you put together,
Okay.
or you put it on the top, doesn't matter.
This shows how we receive cash and spend cash. The cash balance is on the prior page, page 7.
But I don't know you buying candies or you buying something else. I'm asking is, we greatly appreciate if you can give at least some details where and what cash we spending, so we don't have the similar situation where the person who's writing the check and they're writing to somebody else, which we had the incident, whatever the incident was on a payroll under the similar situation, I needed to know. So but where are you spending the cash? If we don't have the details, we're not saying that you're not spending it. We're saying, where are you spending it? How would we know? You said, okay, it's paid, it's spent on cash. It's spent on what?
Well, let me start from the top of that sheet, and you can see that what we build to patients, we build for services. And you can see the top line, we build and collected from patients and third parties.
I'm going to save your headache if you hold on. Can you please be kind enough? Send the details to the chairman, and though they can provide to the board. You can hold, because I don't want to hold the board just for my questionings, but it's important. Would you please send in details? I humbly request, if you don't send it, I will ask. I'm telling you, we are very blunt with each other.
I'm not sure what you're asking for, because if you look. at
Bobby,
the-
if you want, you and I can meet.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I've been through it and I'm happy to review it with you.
Okay, that's fine. But I think the board should know where we're spending the money.
Well, let me just point that out, because if you look at the prior page, the balance sheet,
I have, trust me.
but
I only got the report only 2 days ago. And Richard, in the past, there's one board member going to question 100 times when come to the finance. And I am not going to vote on something that we look like an idiot. We are not.
okay,
And this is our fiduciary responsibility, and we're going to question, and we need to know, because that's Bruderman had asked in his first meeting, and I applauded him. And that when Ed Fernblom came, I applauded him, because they believe in to be very open with the board and explain to the board. And I still expect other former chairman, he interfered, not doing the proper reports, did the reports. I requested then, I request now, he should be investigated. So you give me this, I'm going to skip this one.
I just want to put on the record, Bobby's not talking about me.
No, I'm not.
but for the
If
benefit.
you are, I will tell you directly, and you know that I'm not hesitate.
Look, so
Let's go to the
I think
page
we
10
could,
of 16.
But
The
before
last question.
before you move
Or
on,
no,
let me,
two more questions.
before you move on, let me just go back to page 7, because
Just gave
No,
the
to-
chairman the report.
to the point, for the benefit of the other board members.
Send them the report.
Well, I'm gonna be brief. We started the year with $185 million as.
Because I'm going to have more questions once you're going to start brief, because I have a lot of questions to relate to that. That's why.
But it's for the benefit of the other board members.
Yeah, but
because
why
they-
don't you send them the same report you're going to send to me?
look, I think to just move things along, Bobby, and again, just for everyone in the room, I have here all the financial statements, which is what I've been carrying around. I have the last 4 years worth of audits. Happy to show anybody after the board meeting if you'd like. You can see not my analysts, but my own personal handwriting through every single page of the auditor's notes. I have my comments written next to every one. I personally rolled forward from the balance sheet and income statement, everything that happened. I have it from the auditors. I've identified the different expenses, inflows, outflows, rolled it all the way forward. And we're going to boil this down, and at hopefully the coming board meetings, we'll be able to go through it in great detail. But again, just so everyone knows, I'm in the seat for maybe a week, but I've been through all of it. I assure you here, Dr. Booton sitting next to me. You can see, I also have, thank you, the report from the consultants. This is the operating budget that was proposed for 2022, and I've carried it forward. And now I've recently gotten December, but I'll be able to break it down in simplistic terms. I've also read in great detail the Freed Maxis report. Thank you, former chairman. I went through it in great detail. I intend to meet with them and Grassi, who worked on it. But again, you can see my handwritten comments on every single page. So Bobby, I'm on it. These guys are on it. And I think we'll be able to come back in a more succinct way at the next meeting.
Chairman, I appreciate it. And again, I'm doing what I feel.
No,
is
please,
our
I'm not
fiduciary
telling,
responsibility.
you have every right to ask, and so does every board member. And
Yes.
everyone should be asking. And I'm so glad, Bobby, that you did your homework. clearly.
Trust me.
And
Ask
I
these
just wanted you to know
Thank you,
that
sir.
like we're on it and I'm
Thank you, Chairman.
working with the great people here
Thank you,
to be
Chairman.
able to boil it down. So,
Trust me, there's one person definitely will be working with you and questioning you is me. Thank you. On page 10 of 16. That's why I like you, because you're on it. And that was the reason I like Ed. Otherwise, I would have abused him, accused him, like everybody else. I want them to go to jail. Okay, 10 of 16. This is easy one. I don't know you're going to answer it or you can't. I'm looking at the numbers on the chart. The only up I see, psychiatry. I think the guy is sitting there in the back. Chairman, thank you. Keep the good work. And I see rehab. Dr. Paul Priya, that's your department. Thank you. Everything else is done. And I want to know why.
I can tell you just generally, because again, you know, with COVID, there was a limitation on procedures. COVID brought some good things, but it made, you know, elective surgeries and procedures difficult to schedule. So frankly, and that's why I've actually gone back to pre-COVID numbers and looked at the hospital's performance to see what was this place like before COVID, to give us a good starting point. Actually, the 2 to 3 years before COVID, we're analyzing, which I'll share charts so you can see what happened by division, and
I
you'll
got
be
it,
able to see that.
Chairman.
But it's
good.
for the people in that department, it's very difficult and it's all over the map. So
Yes
it's-
and no, and we will not argue on that. I take your answer. So I'm going to give you pass on that. You don't have to explain. And like I said, there's no stepchild. Holy Patterson is a part of us. Are we making money there or are we losing?
We're losing less than we budgeted. We budgeted 20 million. We ended the year with 12 and a half.
Are we losing because of we still doing some of the expenses in the hospital?
No,
So you had no more we trying to put our expenses in the Holy Patterson?
No.
Absolutely no. You want to think about it?
no, I don't want to think
Because
about it. No.
I will come back and question. So you can tell the board members, the chairman, I can tell you what it is. In the past, I don't know if you even remember that or not. Some of our staff who work here, we was paying them from Holy Patterson. Even the Holy Patterson was making the money. It looked bad on Holy Patterson. It wasn't the expense of the Holy Patterson. I may be not putting it as precisely. So if the practice is changed, I'm glad. I hope we continue the best we can for Holy Patterson and stand with those employees because they're doing a good job too, you know. And I have no more question. Thank you.
By the way, I just wanted to let the board know as well, and Bobby, to your financial questions, some of the things that I'm doing with the finance department, Dr. Booten, is analyzing going back pre-COVID, and we're looking at pre-COVID numbers and performance by division, including Holy Patterson, through COVID, and then even more recently now. And some of the things, Bobby, that we do in my world, because I do actually turn around companies, is a very simplistic approach. You look at the historical numbers, which I'll be able to share with the board, and you see, and basically oftentimes as you do more treatments, your expenses go up. We have certain fixed overhead, there's certain variable overhead. Each department's different, requires different things to perform service. So we'll dissect and look at, when you put them side by side, the numbers speak. And so we'll look at if all of a sudden previous people of management were putting expenses through Holy Patterson, you're going to see those payroll or whatever you're saying was going on. We're going to be able to normalize that here and also really look at what those are. But on top of that, the other thing that I'm undertaking is I'm doing my own analysis, my own expense. We're looking at all of the public information, not only safety net hospitals. I'm meeting with the other chairman of the other health systems, both here in New York as well as throughout the country. And my team is pulling financial information. So again, the easiest way to do something is you look at it. Every business, including hospitals, and there's a tremendous amount of public information on hospitals, there are different criteria. And again, you don't have to be a mathematician or an accountant, but when you look at the averages, again, the numbers will speak to you. If your PP&E is supposed to be 14%, or the average for electricity and other things is 3% or whatever, there is public data out there. So we're going to evaluate this hospital against its peers, both currently domestic, within New York. We're going to compare it against other safety net hospitals and then across the averages throughout the country. And it doesn't matter sort of what happened in the past, frankly, it's about the future. So if we get that good data and we look at this business historically, and so we see where our things contract and expand and contract and expand, I'm going to be able to show the board on simple pieces of paper, hey, this is how these things go. And then from there, I'll be able to correlate that, which is my plan, to show everyone this is what other hospitals look like, and maybe we should be starting to emulate. And that's going to give us the roadmap.
I agree with you, Chairman, and the region. I'm going to applaud that, sharing again with the new board members, even before former Chairman Ed Bloom came in. It's embarrassing. I know publicly we don't like to say certain things. I like to say great things about this hospital. There is so many, the fantastic doctors, fantastic nurses, fantastic, super good support staff in this hospital. Really is. Means when come to Carmine's leadership, he does a good job. The region, I'm agreeing with you, so the board member know. I don't know if it's still fixed or not. I sat in this board 5 years ago. The region you have job, Jonathan, and the person who had that job before you came in, emergency. We need to pass $1 million budget. We had to pass this contract. I innocently said, what is this contract so emergency? It was a food contract. Officially, you did not brought that contract yet, even 4 years later. And the region, it was tabled that day. And then 3 people in between get changed and you have the job. They say you are a good guy. And I said to you another day, I said, one of these days we're going to review you. And the reason it was, it's just a simple morning breakfast, Chairman, was $21. I said, if there's 2 eggs and little cheese and juice, why not we order it from outside, serve all our patients, which is most was $2 or $3. You and I both know there's no way it's going to cost $7, $20 for the same breakfast. So that's what initiated me. And I applaud if we can do what you're asking. I think that's a great start.
Bobby, I just like to opine on that. And I think it's, again, a wonderful opportunity to start our relationship working together to point some of these things out. I appreciate what you're bringing to the table here. And I'll tell you what, look, coming into this, this hospital's biggest problem is the board. It is. And everyone on this board has a decision to make today if they want to continue to be part of the problem or they want to be part of the solution. And I'm going to call it exactly how I see it. And that is, no matter how you slice it, this institution gets 8 appointments from the state and 7 from the county. And there's the ability between the county executive and the governor or Albany to accept, deny, appoint. And so what's been a very big problem is that up until today, and again, I'm taking the position that every person on this board cares, every person on this board is smart, and every person on this board can be helpful. And I really don't care about politics. I think I am uniquely positioned and fought to be on this board. As you know, none of us are compensated. But because it's failed for so long, not under my hand, but for decades, I'm told, And so why I think I'm uniquely positioned here is that I not only have a very sympathetic and empathetic and charitable heart that no one can question because my actions are well known. And just as importantly, I have the expertise to make this easy on the board. That's why I'm here. Great businesses are built and great things are done based on fact, based on numbers, based on reality. I didn't fear the fact that I might be outvoted by the board because I felt everything that I would bring to the board would be based on fact, would be clearly good, clearly thought out, and easily explained. So under whatever happened in the past, frankly, I don't care anymore. I've heard so much infighting. I don't disagree with any Democrat appointees that previous Republicans put knuckleheads on the board or gave people jobs that didn't deserve jobs or gave people contracts that were out of market. And I'm sure that political football went back and forth because the county was Republican, then it was Democrat, then it was Republican, and the state does the same thing. And so, you know, someone great said, like, if you really want to change the future, you have to look at the past. And insanity is doing the same thing over and over. So what I want to bring here today is I don't want to hear about the past anymore. I want to hear about what people are concerned about, Bobby. I want to hear all of the rumors and the stories and everything else so I have places to look. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not only forgiven for everyone on this board, and our time is just so much better spent looking into the future. And again, everything we do as a board now and working with Dr. Booten, who, like I said, I'm very impressed with him. I've been very impressed with everyone I've met so far. And I have no doubt that as long as we do everything based on fact, we're never going to have a problem. So emotion, politics, you know, you did this and you did that and you did this, like it's got to stop. It's got to stop if we really, really want to help this hospital. And again, it's the infighting of the board. It's Democrat and Republican. Who appointed who? They're on my side. They're on their side. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm on the hospital side. I've said it many times. I'm on the employees side and I'm on the community side. And again, I was ready to step off the board, be a community activist, and start suing people in protection of the community that I'm a county resident of. Because it's disgraceful, again, what's happened in the past. And I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to sit around. And it doesn't have to be negative. Again, if there were things that were done wrong in the past, we should try to correct them. But we don't need sideshows and witch hunts, anything else. We have to come together as a board and make good decisions. And again, Bobby, from now on, there's going to be no more, you know, I stepped in. I don't know enough about this contract. I'm sure these fine, smart gentlemen do. But in the future, anyone's going to be able to ask me as a board member because I'm going to know that contract like I know all of these other papers. And we're going to be able to give you the board, which is what you deserve. Maybe you haven't gotten, but getting real facts, all the answers. And if the management team and me helping lead them as chairman don't have those answers, we shouldn't vote on it. We should question people, how hard they're working, and make sure that people elevate their game. Because everything that comes before this board should be fully vetted, fully thought out, and a very simple decision to make. So
Chairman,
that's how we're going to go from now on, Bobby.
I applaud you, but I want you to know.
No more crap from the past.
I think I agree with you, no crap from the past, but the experience does speak very loud, past, present, or future. But I'm trying to say to you is, I didn't care if there was a Democrat or Republicans. I care. I have a fiduciary responsibility. I may be the least formally educated person, so I take an extra step. And I read to the maximum I can. If something I don't understand, I question. I'm going to say this one statement, then I know the board member had a motion to go on. And that was very simple. I supported every chairman, regardless of who was appointed, because I didn't care who appointed them. I care what is my fiduciary responsibility, what is my love, and I choose to serve this board is all about. But when they shut you down, simply because I'm questioning what is wrong. And that's my fiduciary responsibility. And I will end the note. Dr. Bhutan sitting there. Former chairman, not at Kornblum. I'm the chairman of the finance committee on my first meeting. And you know what, Dr. Bhutan, what happened? They never made that meeting public. They never put that, am I right? Or they never, that finance committee meeting, he shut it down. I think that's a crime. But statement he made, and I choose to resign from that committee as a chairman of the committee, because it's an embarrassment if somebody going to do it wrong. He made a statement that day. The Holy Patterson, I say, why the patient going somewhere else? He said, because we was full over here. And I asked, Bhutan, you was there, Meg, you was there. And I said, it is wrong. I said, Dr. Bhutan, don't answer because I don't want you to lie under the pressure of this chairman. Same thing I asked the Megan. I said, you're legal. Let him answer. He said, yes, we was full. It's on the record. The reason he chose not to put it on the public because it is not true. I may be born nighttime, definitely wasn't that night. And I can get the record here and I can get the record from the Holy Patterson. That daredevil send the patient somewhere else. In my mind, that's a crime when we have a good doctors, good people working here, and somebody going to betray my hospital for their best interest. I don't give a damn who he is. I'm going to fight. And that was my fight. And what happened? They think they take me off the chairman of the committee. Do you really think I given a damn about it? Next meeting, I have 20 more questions. You take me off, I'm going to have 40 more questions because that's my responsibility for the board and our employees. And I'm going to tell you as a chairman.
So
I applaud a good work, no matter who it is. And I stand strong for the love of the hospital. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I
Please go ahead.
interrupted you.
I stop.
apologize. And I heard your words and I hope we can all move forward, but I'm a little disturbed because an hour before the March 20th meeting, we got an email indicating that you took every Democrat off the executive committee. So while you're saying that it doesn't matter, it seemed to have mattered. And I'm just hoping that moving forward, that's not how your words are going to match your actions and vice versa.
Yeah, first of all, and I, Lisa, I really appreciate that. And I expect everybody to hold me fully accountable. I have no idea what you're talking about. So I took every Democrat off of what? I don't even know who every Democrat is.
Well, there was an
frankly.
email that was sent out saying this is the new, and Ms. Ryan's nodding her head. So I think you sent the email out. Right. So, and the Democrats who were on the committee came off. And it was you and Linda Reed and just like three.
I can tell you, I have no idea. We've been meaning to speak about the different committees. Again, I was on for 3 days, then I was gone. Then this whole, whatever went on. And I'm back on, I think, for a week. I don't know. How many days? Certain amount of days. I can swear to you under oath or otherwise, I had nothing to do with that. Was it a crossed conversation or whatever? But I don't even know what is an executive committee. What?
That was the executive who went through the committees. Committees of the board, just talking about the different.
So like finance committee and the various
It's an
committees.
executive committee. And that was the one, I just want to clarify which other chairmen have done before, right before board meetings and at board meetings So I just want, since you're new, Ms. Daniels.
I'm
I
not
just wanna say-
saying there was a
I'm saying other-
procedural
That,
problem.
no, I'm just saying, but I just want to be correct in saying that, no, the procedural was done, of course.
And I'm not
But-
accusing,
But, other chairmen have removed members and moved members around.
But
That's
I
their
don't think
purview.
those chairmen made at least now 3 different statements saying that I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, no, I don't. And listen, I mean,
I'm hopefully holding you accountable to your work.
yeah, no, and the next time, if something like that happens, contact me immediately. And frankly, like, I don't know how all these things work yet fully. My opinion is, and maybe it's a bad idea, but on the surface, committees, I've been on numerous boards. For me, anyone that wants to be on a committee, I want on the committee. There's too often, very often, that there's not enough participation. So if someone's eager enough to want to be on a committee, I would love to have them on a committee. The
Chairman,
other thing I think, just let me finish. The other thing with committees, and I don't know if everyone does that here. Again, there's been a lot with Meg and me and others where I'm trying to process. I was in for 3 days, then I was out, then I was in for 3 days, and people are still trying to move the ball with like set up a meeting or do this. And so there's been a lot of run and shoot. I mean, even the things, I wasn't happy about having to propose these things, but I trust Dr. Booten and the other physicians that, hey, we need this equipment and we need this approved, or I know that we can't go and get funding without getting our audit done. I know what, kind of pick your battles. So with me, there has been a fair amount of kind of run and shoot. I can assure you there is no reason that I wouldn't want Democrats on there or whatever. The other thing is, as it relates to committees, is I think it's a great way for us to test other potential future board members to attract people with expertise. I don't know if we have that in our bylaws to allow to do that or whatever, but to me, the committees are where we do our work. And again, Bobby, that's why I was going to say, like, hey, that's a much more robust conversation for a finance committee. But so to me, I feel like the committees and management and myself, again, trying to lead change, that's where I really want to get a lot done in committees. And anyone that wants to do that, I'm all in. And again, look, none of you know me more than like what, 2 hours, 3 hours, And again, I just know like the way that things have functioned in the past. And sometimes it's even hard to like break out of like, well, that's how we always did it. They're a Democrat and Republican, I'm supposed to throw rocks. I can assure you, and you can challenge me on this. Again, there's a lot of things I'm going to be putting out we're going to be putting out as it relates to some of my philanthropic work we're doing here in Hempstead. That's powerful stuff. And I really am a bleeding heart liberal with my own time and money. It's why I'm here. So I'm really excited to fix it. I think there's great pride that we're all going to have if we work together to do it. I will take greater pride if I can win my worst adversary over to do this with me. That's an accomplishment to me. None of us are paid, so why am I here? I want a W for all of us. I want to win. We all as a board have such a unique opportunity to do what literally everyone says can't be done. If you read Newsday, shut it down. They're a whatever show. They're that, like, no one has confidence. And supposedly it's been messed up for decades. But regardless of how long you've been here, and Bobby's been here, I think the longest, but Bobby was trapped. I can tell Bobby's got a good heart. And I think Bobby will do the right things when they're presented to him. And if he can ask questions and he's got good, simple answers. So to me, I'm like, this is a really, but again, in the past, all the people that have been here for a long time, they've been hostage. Bobby is a board member for as long as he's been here, couldn't do anything. Why? Because it was like the Republican knuckleheads put these people that they don't want to play with these people. And it's like, it's a mess. I have ideas that I'm hoping that we can just get down to business and not get into, a board melee and everything else. But I think I have great solutions that I think the state and the county, Democrat and Republican, will love about how we should be constituting this board. And I think that all board members going forward, we all got to pass. I got put in here by Bruce Blakeman. You could say that, hey, I donated money to Bruce, or you could say like, hey, maybe Bruce really knew me, knew my passion for the community, and helping others, knowing my accomplishments, and maybe I was just like his political pal. But either way, I am here. You guys are all here. You know, people say, oh, there's a bunch of political hacks. They're all political hacks. They're all whatever. I don't even know who's who really yet. I really don't. But to me, no one believes, we're kind of the bad news bears. You know, no one believes in us. They think we want to eat each other and kill each other. And I harbor no ill will, despite all the attacks. I mean, Newsday kind of came at me a little bit. People at the legislature, you know, kind of came at me a little bit, but
Only a little bit.
but the point is that my intentions really are pure. And again, I'm really excited about it because I think each of us can prove everyone wrong. We can play well in a sandbox. We can get some stuff done. And think about it. If we fight, because let's say in theory, we're all controlled by our political parties, right? So there's some Democrats. I think you're Democratic affiliation. I'm controlled by the Republicans, right? I'm a robot for them. Where do we gain and where's the hospital gain? Us pulling each other's hair out? Us being their pawns? For what? Us being dysfunctional? All of our names are on this. So rather than do people's bidding of like just pulling hair and punching each other, I'm like, screw that. You know, we can turn this hospital around. When do you go out, right? When do you go out and say, oh, you're at a cocktail party, you're a Republican? Or you go to the guy getting your gas and be like, hey, don't touch my car. You the Democrat? You know, when you go out and your kid's playing a sandbox, do you like say, oh, are you a Republican or a Democrat? But somehow in this place, we're like Democrat and Republican. I'm not doing it. I promise you. I will remove a Republican just as fast as anyone else. I will have a theft punished and arrested. I don't know who is the person that was arrested a couple weeks ago. I don't know if they were Democrat or Republican. Do we care? So to me, I just really implore everyone. And again, judge me on what I do. Judge me on performance. And if we can function and do things at those levels, at the committee levels, and get real work done, we have an opportunity to show everybody that all these people on this board are smart. We can cooperate. We got stuff done. We can all take credit for it because it's pretty well split anyway. In fact, I would rather it be, frankly, more Democrats than Republicans, because that means that I was more capable of working with people. And the Democrats can take the credit for, I think it'll be easier if the Democrats, we can fix it. The Democrats then can take credit for fixing it. So I think that's an asset to me of trying to get stuff done. So like, you know, again, I think what you'll see from me from now on is working in committees, working with the management, and coming to the board with everything thought out. We will never propose anything that's not rooted in fact and makes logical sense, and we just make a decision. I don't have an agenda on that. So we'll see it happen. But anyway, I really apologize that somehow that happened. I do want to look at all the boards, figure out who's on them and the different committees and stuff. And again, I wasn't kidding when I genuinely said, I'd love to meet with each of you individually. You know, again, we all have networks. We all have relationships. We all have pull. We all have experience that we can bring to the table. So, you know, if we work together, we can do powerful things. So anyway.
Chairman, just for your information, it doesn't matter to me. I was the second chairman of the board, and I can tell you, majority of them was Republicans. I had no problem with you to have a red phone in the board room to picking up. Dr. Paul Pia was the board member. How often I pick up directly to the DA's office. I didn't give a damn who is on, who is not. If it's ICs, only my problem was I was young, I was a naive, I didn't have that experience that you have, and I did not have the experience. I should not have been the chairman that time, but looking at the circumstances, one thing they knew, I'm honest enough to speak out and be very open to everyone. So coming back, Ms. I work with Ed, you know that there was never issue. I don't know where that came from against you. And I'm very sorry and embarrassed that whatever happens, I worked with the previous 3-4 Democrat chairmen. Each one of them, even the one who I did not like personally or disagree personally, I worked with them because the best interest of the hospital. That's what you speaking about. I applaud. I don't care if somebody like you or not, as long as they're willing to do what they are took the swear in for. And going back to the committee's part, the previously other chair did, you don't have to do it. They told all the board member, send a request. These are the committee, what committee you like to choose. It is a chairman's sole discretion who he choose to fit, not because what party affiliation is. The former chairman sitting there, I'm as a former chairman, he put me on certain committees, not because of who I was, he felt I can do the job. I'm sure you will do the same. So everybody should send it instead of asking the question. Thank you. I'm sorry taking the time.
Mr. Bruderman, do you mind if I just ask 2 quick questions? And
Sure, please. Sure.
the first one was, you referenced, did Fried Maxick produce their report, their business imperative?
That's right.
Can we get a copy?
I got it from you.
No. There was another, the next round is not out.
No.
Okay.
No, they didn't produce
It's
that.
supposed to be a more robust business imperative
That was
report.
just the what you
Yeah,
gave
no,
us.
there's a more
Yeah, yeah.
robust.
We didn't get anything.
You didn't get it
FYI.
yet?
No.
I would encourage you to sit with them and see what.
I am, yeah. And I'm like I said, I went through the materials that you'd given me.
The second thing is, I remember that there's another report. We had, Meg, help me remember, Core Analytics. They did an analysis of A. Holly Patterson's therapy department at
I
some
think
point.
that was, had a red cover on it or red and blue, or I don't know.
I don't remember, but there's a lot of,
Yeah,
I am remiss that we didn't implement a lot of those suggestions, but there's a lot of low hanging revenue fruit in that.
Yeah.
And I would get running on it quickly and
yeah, and again, I think it's gonna be very easy for us. I mean, the things like, if we can keep bringing, hey, if we do this, it's gonna make us an extra 4.6 million. Or if we do this, we're gonna save like another 5 million, or, you know, that's what we should be doing here. And again, I think if we do our work in our committees and we come here well-informed, it's just gonna be very easy. Yes, yes, yes. And again, you know, I didn't have an agenda. I thought, hey, maybe we pull this to investigate it more, but time is of the essence. So we're gonna go forward with it and make do. Again, doesn't mean that we're not gonna sit down. We just met earlier and see if we can't grind it out, or Meg and I can tweak some out legal language, or see, you know, what kind of stuff we can do, dangle another machine up there and say, hey, you know, play nice because, but anyway, so I think, again, if we do our work, we'll
I think we had an interim report, a final report. They presented something. Okay, we gotta follow. Can you follow up with them, or can?
I may have a copy from you. I have other materials.
Might have been. I think it might have been.
I don't think they never presented it. So there was nothing from them. They have something they wanted to present, but they never presented it.
Okay. And then just 2 other quick things. You were talking about normalizing data to percentage of revenue. So in my business, I find it very helpful to normalize data also to per patient day. I find that to be a great normalization. I would encourage you, you know, Rich has prepared some reports for me on a per patient day rather than total numbers, and I find it helpful. And the last thing, yeah, he likes me more. No, he did some analysis for me.
No. He's good.
And-
No, the
and-
chairman can, again, the point of the chairman, I think, if he's active, you know, again, is the chairman and the subcommittees should be doing the hard work and have all the answers, and then be able to, so I totally appreciate what you were doing. And that's where, if something is noteworthy, then, you know, you'd be able to present it to the board. And I think that is, by the way, another thing I think in keeping Ed with what you were saying is that, and again, Ed will tell you that my first day I said, hey, maybe you should be like vice chairman because you were chairman and, I can get a faster start working with him. I was very receptive to working with Ed. And I still am, and I'd like to work with everybody. Again, I don't know everything. I might act like it, but this another key thing that I would do across all industries are, again, the key metrics. Looking at this hospital from patient day, collections rates, other things like that, that I think we as a board can monitor. It's, a basic dashboard. And so we can look at, how many patients, discharges. There should be stats that we don't have to be experts in, but the whole board is aware. You start to get the trends and you can see. And again, just you don't have to know all about it if I correlate it to other hospitals and say, here's how we rank. That's pretty easy to figure out and look at. So that is another thing that I'm going to be suggesting is putting together a dashboard for the board. And I did plan on doing this history of NUMIC so I could share that with the board. And then also correlate that again to other hospitals. So we can really kind of see, hey, here's where we've been. This is maybe where we need to get. And again, not to jump into things, but there appear on the surface at least. And again, I've got to do a lot of homework, but it does appear on the surface that, our collections rate, and I think I've mentioned this to others, we like 23% or something from the numbers that I saw, we never collect. The amount of either undocumented people or people that work and don't have insurance, I can't believe it's 23%. So to me, I'm willing to bet 15 to 20% are US citizens that probably qualify for Medicaid and Medicare and just aren't being signed up. And so, we have to make sure we do that the right way and figure out, do we need social workers or how does that, but again, you do your paperwork coming in and you do discharge papers, but these are the things, again, that I come out from a little left field but there's a lot of really, really smart people in this room, physicians and others, people that know grants. Who has the company that, I definitely want to get together. There's grant money that we should be hunting down. But, I think there's a big one right there. And again, anyone that knows business, if, we're running a deli, we want to try to have a 10% profit margin. Well, this hospital, if we have a 23% profit, you're trying to get a 23% profit margin. Well, if 23% of your revenue doesn't get paid, you're negative 23%. So just to be flat, you have to have a 23% operating profit margin. So that's our challenge. But when you say, hey, 23%, think about this, 23% of our money we don't even collect. It's like a little oil well. If we can figure out how to tap that, we don't have to get new patients. We don't have to buy new machines. We don't have to do, it's all there. We just have to figure out how we collect it. And there are grants and there are other federal and state and county funds that help pay that. And again, I went through, I've already been penciling out a budget because I aggressively want to get this place to break even this year. Because you got to have a goal. But, I'm penciling it out and, there's a lot of opportunity there. That's sort of low hanging fruit. Again, there's great opportunities here between that and grant money. The other thing I was looking at was, a normal business, you have to generate revenue just from providing a good or service. We have another revenue stream here, and that is state, county, state, federal funding. And it's revenue. Just someone else is paying for it, for patients and so there's money there. And those are our big, fast moves, I think, are working with you on the grants and what kind of money's out there that we can possibly get. Figuring out how to collect the 23, % of we've already provided the service and everything and we can collect that. So there's big stuff to do. As Dr. Booten will tell you, we have some really exciting new practices and things that can come into the hospital right away, generate revenue and profit. So there's big stuff right here. And we're going to be kind of rolling that out as we finish doing our work. But again, the way we're gonna make this work is, I think myself, I plan on committing the time to work with management, setting up these subcommittees where people really want to work, and we dig in and we just start cracking rocks. And again, if we just could all work together, it's a very solvable situation. I think both sides, everybody has been all hamstrung because nobody wanted to cooperate. It was on their side, and it's like the McCoys and the whatever, no more of that. Let's just move
Chairman,
on.
you think that's funny? You want to know funny? I became a chairman on a first meeting, just for the record, so you know all. Don't start any one of you now throwing stone on me. Dr. Paul Papia is right there. He was a board member. On my first meeting as a chairman, this board used to get paid per meeting. And the first meeting I saw, I was young and naive, I'm telling you, I was 39. At $250 or $356 per meeting, I don't know exact number, so don't quote me. So each meeting end up with 4 or 5 meetings. Like you are public meeting, you go and gone to the executive meeting, back to the public, that's a 3 meeting. And what do you think the first thing I did? I say, you're supposed to be volunteer, and volunteer should not get paid. Nobody ever going to get paid. And because of me, that those 13 board member was not happy, but I am happy that I made that decision and passed through. That's why no board member ever got paid for the meetings.
Maybe if you paid a lot of money, you would have.
One more quick question. Is that okay? Rich, there was
Yes.
some press about $12 million or some such from the county. What was that for? Was that ordinary course or was that exceptional? in some
It
way?
was ordinary course. It's related to the jail contract.
Okay.
We had negotiated a jail contract and it got signed in August. Or it got negotiated in August. It had to come to this board to get approved. Had to go to the county to get approved, had to go to NYFA to get approved. And that 12 million was all of the money that they couldn't pay until that happened. And then it had to go back to the legislature to get the funds encumbered. So that was August through December at $1,591,000 a month.
How were we providing services before all the approvals came through?
On our dime. I mean, we were funding the cash and with the expectation we'd get it. So I mean, we built it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, that's again, one of the problems is, there's not a CFO. I think we have to look at the finance department. Again, I've heard, the county executive switch from one person to the other. The stuff has slipped through the cracks, but again, walking in the door, the way we identified that, frankly, was I'm going through the revenue streams. Again, like, should I be here or not? I go through the revenue streams, figuring out, well, what's the county contract worth? And I go, is it $1 or is it $1 billion? We get the information, whatever. And look, stuff happens, but I found like $12.8 million the first day. There's others. So like, that's why, we just starting with the big numbers and working our way down. And, but it's a good example of just, oversight. And again, like I have the time. I mean, I don't really have the time, but I'm making the time to really work with finance, make sure they have, again, it's like Bobby being on the board for however long he's been. If he doesn't have a board that's working with him and, he can't get stuff done. So like, again, it's not finger pointing. It's not anything else. We just got to start today and start drilling down from the top. Like I said, I've been through, not just the one, but all of the different financial statements and audits. I'm rolling everything forward myself. I'm not even handing it to, my analysts or whatever, because I want to know the numbers. And there's a lot here. Again, 23%, we provided the service. It's not unlike, it's not as easy, but it's not unlike the criminal system where we're providing the service and just not getting paid. 23% of our revenues, it's out there. And there's a good chance that there's a payer for it. So anyway.
I'd like to renew my application at this point.
And I'm sorry, if the board members online, if you could just remain online like we usually do, and we'll move into executive session and everyone else, have a good night.